All right, we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to DC Fine Art. I am so happy. I'm actually on here. Let's see here. We're going to be working on this cat, but I just want to let you guys know that I am super excited. The internet has been working. Here's the issue. With my internet provider, it's like whenever I call them, I leave them a voicemail, so they don't ever call me back. They usually just fix the problem without calling me back whenever they have time to be able to fix it. I don't know what time they fix it because there is no them calling me back to kind of give me an update. So I kind of woke up in the morning and we checked it out, and my upload speed was back up. It's the upload speed was back up. The download speed was horrible. But all that aside, we're back up and running. Like I said, I don't know what the issue was because my internet people do not call and let me know if what the issue could have been. So not for sure I like that too much, because then we can't fix a problem if we don't know what the problem is and why it does it at random. So not for sure, but anyways, I am super excited to be here. We are going to finish up doing the details on the cat and just kind of finish up the cat because we kind of left some of him without no fur, from the last video that we did for the live stream last week. We're also going to be working on putting in some whiskers, just some little details, and then we're hopping straight on over to working on the hamster. So that's going to be super exciting to just start on something new. So we are working our way through this painting. I'm really hoping we'll have this painting completely done by Halloween, or at least before Halloween would be nicer so I can hang it up on my wall. Let's go ahead. Well, usually I discuss Patreon. With Patreon, you guys are going to get a video this week. It may be tomorrow evening before I release that, or it could be on Friday, but you are getting part 2 of the mixed media, charcoal and color pencil. This is the color pencil that I've been working on this scary creature. So you guys are going to get the creature part of it on the Patreon video, and it will be underneath colored pencil because I don't have a mixed media group on my categories of different videos to watch. So it will be listed underneath colored pencil for the mixed media because it's got more color pencil in it than it does with charcoal. So let me go ahead and switch this around for you guys. If I can find it. There we go. All right. So we got this little kitty cat in here, and we were working with him. I think you guys can see my palette just a little bit. It's kind of dark over here, but I don't want to turn on my light to make it too bright. And I guess I could have just made it a little bit brighter over here, but maybe I can. I don't know if you guys are being bothered by no light, but I can make it a little bit brighter with my little lamp here, as long as I can take it off without not doing something silly, because I am known to do that. Okay. Let's see if this actually clamps here. I don't know if it will or not. Or at least we can find a place where it can. It may be a little bit too thick. Let's see here. I just put that. Trying to see where I can clip it for you guys so you can see a little bit better. We can probably. Because it is slightly darker. I think this might work. Yeah. So let me go ahead and get this screwed in here on my easel without not knocking over my painting. That would just be the worst thing ever. Let's see if I can't just twist. Let's turn this on. There we go. So that made it a little bit brighter on the palette size, so that way you guys can see a little bit more of the colors. Like this. All right. So I have a few of the colors we used before, which is going to be, I know we always keep Mars Black on hand, but that's like the darkest black you can use. I'm using Liquidtex Basics, of course, and then I'm using Ivory Black to mix with my dioxide purple, and that's how I make the purple a little bit darker if I'm needing it darker. And then I've also got my titanium white, which I'll mix in case you want to make it brighter. So just kind of doing those simple little things is all I'm doing. Now I do have a lighter purple here that I could use. This is the Brilliant Purple, and it is a nice, really light purple, but I'm not for sure if I really need it because I can mix my dioxide purple to get the color I'm needing. Tightened up. Now, if I'm also wanting to add any kind of moonlight reflection too, I could add some of my yellows or my, I don't know if I want to add like some of the raw siennas, but if I want to add like maybe a deep cadmium yellow to it, or even the yellow oxide, I could probably add a little touch of that onto his little hairs to kind of give that moonlight glow around him. Let me just go ahead and get some of this in here though. So that's the dioxide purple. Let's get the ivory black in here. We may not need it, but we might, just to darken some of these areas. Maybe there's some shadows that I missed. Definitely need some white. Trying to get as much as I can out of this tube. And then I'm just going to leave the Mars Black. We don't really need that. I am going to throw in some of the yellow oxide in there just in case we want to add a little touch of glow from the moon. We'll do it like that. And maybe, I mean, there is a little bit of a reddish glow too. So I don't know if we want to stick some red in there. Maybe make like an orangey, a dark orangey color for the moon's glow. So we can do some mixing. So after I get the colors that I'm wanting on my palette, I'm going to go ahead and spritz with my fine mist sprayer so that way it does not dry out on me really quick. And then we're going to go ahead and get started. So let's see here. What brush am I going to use? We are doing detail. Let's see here. I really need to focus on this side of his leg here. Front side of his leg. So we definitely want to get some little marks, just kind of showing which direction of the fur that we're going in. It does look a little bit lighter in this area, so we're probably going to have to tone down and darken maybe some of that. So that's why we got the black in there, so we can make a little bit more of a darker shadow, like putting in some of our darker shadows. I'm trying to find the Filbert that I had last time. It's one of my favorite brushes. And it's a, here it is. Either a Filbert or a flat. It's just been used so much that it can almost be a flat, but then again, it looks kind of like a Filbert. I can show you guys on this. This is what brush I like to use. The like labeling on it is completely gone, so I don't know what brand it is, and I do not even know the size, but I'm thinking and I'm guessing compared to some other ones that it's a number 2. I just don't know if it's a flat or a round. It kind of, whenever I push on the bristles, it looks more like a flat, but it's close enough. I do like Filbert, so either one. It's like a mixture. So I'm going to take some of my dioxide purple, take enough of it, throw in some of my ivory black, and get it a little bit darker. Maybe a smidge more. And the reason why I'm throwing in so much of this black is just because it is the ivory black. And I usually, for some reason, I call it like a mixing black. So you can mix it with your colors, and um, you can mix a lot more of the ivory black before it actually darkens it. So it takes a little bit longer to darken, or it takes more of it to darken. But if you were to use the Mars black, it would just take like a touch of black. And you just have to be very careful. You can kind of overdo it. And I definitely don't want to overdo it. So I'm going to give my canvas a nice little mist. Looks like I may have got a splatter in there, but that's okay. And we're just going to come through and see, that looks way too purple. So we're going to need more black in this. There we go. That looks more like the color I was wanting. Sometimes I'm going to wipe off some of this. Got a little bit too much on there. If you're wondering why it looks the way it does and it looks kind of darker, I'm going to come back over the top of this with some little hairs, some lighter colors. But I really needed to darken up that base a little bit more is what I was trying to do. Because that base just looked a little bit too light. And then it goes into this darker area here, which is fine. Add a little bit of a darker patch right here. So I'm just kind of working in some of these colors, or some of these, maybe some of these darker areas that maybe should have went a little bit darker. And then when that dries, I can always add in my final details. Yeah, I could have done this beforehand, but I like to work with everything. Like every time I touch the canvas, I really like to show you guys what I do. Even if it is any adjustments that I do, I really like to show you guys that. Sometimes if I do the same thing over and over again, it takes me a little bit longer and the time-wise, but I'm doing the same kind of thing, then I will go and do that on my own because you guys already seen me work it. It just takes a long time. So I'm putting a little bit more of a darker shade in here. And I'd really like to add a little bit more in there. There we go. So it's just anything that I see that I might need little touches, then I'm going to add those in. And that looks pretty good. I'm going to rinse off my brush. I think on his eye he needed a little bit more of a darker, possibly a little bit darker area. Right around his eyelid, so I'm going to take a little dab of that darker purple. Kind of throw a little bit of darker shade in there. It's not going to be too much, but just a little bit. And get it in and around his nose. So I'm just kind of looking at my reference photo. Getting a little bit of that area around the eye. This little area around his nose probably needs to be darkened up just a tad. I'm going to add a little bit more water to this and make it on this little area here. So I'm just dipping my brush in and making it really kind of watery. Kind of like a little soup. And what that does is it makes a glaze. So if I'm really wanting to kind of darken an area without going too dark, I can always glaze over it. Just kind of darken it a little bit. That way I can come on top of it or go on top of it with a little bit more of a lighter color to make some of those details. Okay, so I toned that down quite a bit, and I know it looks a little different right now, but once it dries, it'll be a lot better. Just trying to tone it down. Right now you're seeing a lot of the wet on there. It's not so much as the color. But when that dries, that'll disappear. Man, definitely a weird angle. I think I got all the lights on that I had before. I'm going to take some more of that glaze. And I want to hit up some of these spots in here. Just make sure we got some around his ear area. Go ahead and add just a little bit more of that glaze, maybe right in here in his nose, because he did have a little bit more of a darker. Actually going to take some of the regular paint in here. This seems a little bit too transparent for me. Let's take some of this darker. Okay. Just kind of adding a little bit of texture in here, going up and down. I was trying not to be too quiet on you guys. Sometimes whenever I'm adding in some of these fur, I might forget to talk. Be like, hey, we're here. Okay, let's go ahead, and I think that's pretty much good. So now I want to take and I think I got his leg right. Let me make sure I look at that real quick. I just want to take a glance. Yeah, I can go over that with some lighter shade. Lighter shade. We may need to do some darker tones, which I can easily do just by taking the same kind of color. I'm just adding a little bit of a fur texture. going down into his leg here. So I'm just using the angle on my brush and trying to eliminate some of those straight lines and making little fur marks. And I'll probably do the same here, but don't really need it too dark. There we go. I don't need to overlap the pumpkin. If you're thinking, well, you need to overlap the pumpkin, that it's behind, the cat is behind the pumpkin, so we don't need to go over the top of the pumpkin with the fur. And let me make sure that over here, if we want to put a little bit of fur kind of overlapping his leg here, we can. In any of these darker areas in here, if we need to add just a little bit more of a fur texture, we can do that. It's a little bit more of a different color. Every time you mix, you're actually getting a slight bit of a different color in there. Actually think that this doesn't have a ring. I'm going to tone that down just a bit. You'll still be able to see it. I'm using some of the area of the darker color with the little bit more water in it. So that way I can go on top of some of these lighter areas, be able to tone them back down if needed. Like putting dark back in, it's a lot easier. Now, if you guys have any questions at all, feel free to ask me any questions because I'm here to help. And sometimes if you kind of watch and you're like, well, I like to watch, but you know, I don't get what you're doing, or maybe there's something that you're just kind of, you have a question in mind, but I mean, definitely ask me, because asking questions definitely helps me out too in figuring out maybe some areas that I'm maybe not explaining very well, and it could actually help me explain and teach a little better for you guys. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take, and I'm going to swoop out some of this fur in this area here too. There. Right in this area, he's got, it goes up, they've got some darker spots in here. There we go. And some of his area, like where his paws are, especially in here, this is going to be like covered by some type of burning embered wood. So I'm not too worried about his paws, like doing a whole lot of detail on them. Let's go up and get a round brush and let's start working on some teeny tiny details. I have been feeling very under the weather. I know it probably doesn't look like it, but I have definitely felt like I've been having like a fever or something. Been having cold chills, and it could be just the weather because we actually got freezing temperatures. So could very well be that. Let's go ahead and grab some of this purple dioxide and a little touch of white. I want to throw that in there. Add a little bit more of the white. I want to give this another spritz also. And then I'm going to add some of my ivory black to this. And just kind of tone it down some. May have to tone it down a little bit more. Actually, I could just pull some of this dark out. Just mix it in there. Now we're dealing with a lighter color, but it's not like super bright purple. Kind of tones it down a little bit. And now I can come in here and just kind of add some of the details. I'm actually hoping that, let me do this real quick. I wanted to make sure it's dry before I do this. So I'm going to go ahead and run the hairdryer, blow dry it real quick, and then we can start on using that round brush real quick on the details. Okay, and also I want to grab a rake brush. Yes, we might try this out for a little bit too, because I definitely like using it for some fur. So as you can see, this one here has a little like holes, you see them, which are good for like if you're wanting to make like crosshairs or maybe like basket kind of weaves. You can do that with this too. I'm going to try using it at an angle and try and getting some fur textures going on, so we can try that out. But first I want to go ahead and get some of these smaller areas, like I said. So I'm using that round brush. This is a round brush, generic, and I am not for sure on the size of round, but it is a small detail round brush. So let's go ahead and zoom in. Zoom, zoom. And see there. And it still doesn't look light enough. Let's go ahead and add a little bit more white to this. A little bit lighter. Okay. That's about right. Taking a little bit of water on my brush. I want to kind of thin this down. I don't really think I like that. The color is not the color I'm wanting. Just a little bit too light. And if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm just doing the water, a little bit of water on my brush. And that's how I usually go about removing it. There. I'm going to throw in a little bit more of the ivory black, if I have any. It's just too purpley kind of look to it. It looks like it needed a little bit of the ivory black in there. I want it to look more kind of like a grayish purple. That might work. Let me see. I'm going to go ahead and spritz it. Definitely. If it doesn't have enough water on it, you won't get like a really fine like fur stroke. That's better. And what I'm doing is just kind of outlining some of these little hairs And I want them to kind of stick out just a little bit on the outside edges. I mean, it's a very minor detail, but it is very small. I just don't want my cat to be perfectly rounded. Like, I definitely want a little bit of character, a little bit of zigzag in there. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I definitely don't want him to be, see how straight that is on the side of that highlight? I definitely want some uneven hairs kind of poking out on the side, just a little bit of more, it gives it more realism instead of it being just straight flat. So I'm going to go up and around his ear, and I'm going to start working on the interior highlights also. So while I'm doing that, I can kind of put some of these little hairs in here. Just kind of string them in there. Doesn't have to be too perfect, but I definitely want them to kind of come out of his ear. Just a little bit here and there. Make this a little uneven. Maybe not so much up here. See how high up that goes. There's some darker areas in his ear. Tone that down a little bit. I'm going to take some of my dark that I already got here, and some of these areas in here, I'm going to make it just a little bit darker. Okay, let's try and get this edge of this ear here. A little bit darker. Because it doesn't really look like there's too much of a highlight on the edge of his ear. So I don't really want too thick of a highlight. And if you're thinking, well, it ain't really that bright, that's fine, because we are going to go over it again with another highlight. Now I'm trying not to make this too long of a video neither, because we definitely got our little hamster. I've got to remind myself, hey, remember the little hammy. Let's make some uneven little furs, just kind of going in random, right through there. Just some small little textures. Come in again. Let's go to his little ear here. And this here was supposed to be a solid line, but it's like a tiny line. Now, if you find yourself not able to drag your color very long distances, it's probably because you don't have enough water in your paint. Like, your paint needs maybe a little spritz of water to get it a little bit more looser. So here's some darker area, or darker paint, and this here, I'm going to use it to kind of thin down this line that I put in before. There we go. So it needed to be thinned down. If you need to go over it again, than you can. Okay. Make some unevenness in here with my darks. So all I'm doing is just kind of adding like little fuzzy tips to some of these areas. And that just makes it look like it's a little bit fluffier, that it has a little bit more fur characteristic to it. So now I'm going to make my way over to this other ear because as you can tell, this is just way too light. Don't actually think it goes down. Make some adjustments here. I'm going to thin down this line a whole lot more because it is not that thick. Let me put my, yeah, it goes all the way around. And you can make this just a little bit curvy if you want. I'm actually going to leave some of that lighter area. So like that. Hold on. I'm going to take a wet brush and just kind of clean this up just a little bit. There. I kind of like that area. Gonna take this here, make it a little bit more thinner. So we do not need that thick of a line. Okay, that looks a whole lot better. I like the emphasis that it gives of that highlight. Okay, I'm going to take my purple, my lighter purple. I'm going to go over that. Kind of dried out on me. I have to give it another spritz, so don't be afraid to give it a spritz. And if it didn't loosen it up and it's starting to dry some more, give it one more. Just don't want it to be white. Okay. Now this here had some fluffy fur, so we can always go in there. Just kind of add a little bit more of a fluff. We could take that on down. I think it just conjoins. It does. By making these uneven furs, we're starting to give it a little bit more character, a little bit more fluffiness, and nothing is perfect. Because your cat can have some uneven little furs or just look a little bit fluffier. You can always add little fluffs to the end of his leg hair too, if you're wanting to. We might just add just a little bit. Just adding just some little minor little fur detail. There we go. Do not knock over your canvas. I'm going to get this on the other side, and then we're going to go in and add just some of his whiskers. Now this part here can go over the moon. You can fluff it over the moon. And let's get this in here. I'm going to connect some of this highlight in here. I know I've been kind of holding back on giving it a highlight in this area because I really wanted to bring out that moon colors, which we can still easily do. Let's get his little mush here. So we're just kind of adding in some of this lighter tone in here. So I don't want it to look flat. Okay. And then I'm going to swoop in here, grab some of this darker color, and I'm going to start throwing in some more darks. Okay. If you need to add any more lights, you can go back in and add your lights after it dries. Wait until it dries. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add a little, woo, uh-oh, that was a bummer. I think I got that on my shirt. If I didn't get on my shirt, I am one lucky girl, but it went somewhere. I am so messy. Oh my goodness. I don't see it on my hair. Maybe I touched my pumpkin nose. I don't know. Oh well, it'll be okay. I probably will find out later though. Whenever I find it all over everything else. So clumsy. Grab some more and I'm going to zoom in on my reference photo. Looks to me, before I work on the nose, I do see a couple of little longer furs there. And I'm going to put some little fluff just by kind of making it a little bit uneven as I'm going and working around. And go to the other side. Oops. Made that a little bit too chunky. Just kind of take that back just a little bit. Sometimes it happens. I don't really want too much of that dark in that area. So I'm going to just kind of go in and just kind of go over the top of it. If it's too wet, you just wait until it dries. And then I'm going to take out a liner brush and we'll just do some little fur. Some longer fur, little details like little hairs. You're kind of getting carried away here. I'm going to take a bigger brush for that. So sometimes it happens where you just get carried away and you just add a color in there and you're like, okay, I put too much in or it doesn't look right. Just as long as you get it whenever it's still wet, you can actually make your corrections by wetting your brush and just kind of taking it away. Wait until it dries and then we can adjust anything needed. I'm going to do a couple more little light highlighted areas for the top of his brow. Getting a little bit of a dry brush, so I'm going to add in more water. Okay. Let's get some of his ears and then we can most of these little hairs that I'm going to get are a little bit thicker. If you're like wondering how to get those really thin lines, we will be doing that shortly. We'll do that with our liner brush. But we can just kind of spot these out. And it's just kind of hit or miss on here. May have made that one just a little bit too chunky. I don't like it. Like I said, if you don't like something, you can always just kind of tone it back. Add some dark in there. Okay. I know his mouth's a little messed up there, but see if that's kind of dry. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to take, and I know his mouth is definitely not done. And I don't really want to go any lighter with him. You go too light, then you're going to end up having a cat that has a brighter area around his mouth. So if you don't want to go too bright with him, I would just say darken him down, like maybe his base layer is just a little bit too light. So I would definitely darken it down and then wait till it dries and then add a lighter color to it. That's exactly what I'm doing in some of these areas. There we go. And each layer you do, it just gets better and better. So just keep working on it. Don't give up thinking you messed up. Because the matter is that you probably didn't mess up. I want to get a little bit more. I know I wanted to work on the, let's see here, on our little whiskers, but I also wanted to add some of that moonlight glow to the outside edges. Really hoping this wouldn't be too long of a live stream for you guys. More of an orangey color, but like a darker orange. And I sprayed it quite a bit. And the reason why is because when you're making little bitty lines, you definitely want, let's see, maybe right in here, just add just a little bit of, and this is just going to be a hit and miss. You don't have to put it everywhere. But just a little hints of it throughout the outside edge of his fur. And kind of give it a little bit of a moon glow. Now, you guys may not be able to see this. I don't know how the camera is picking it up or not. Maybe just add a little bit of it in here. It's like kind of a little bit of a, if you look at it up close, like if you're coming up and you're like, wait just a second, I'm thinking I've seen a little bit of moon reflection, then you'll be able to see it. Like I said, I don't want to add it I don't want to get too carried away because I can get too carried away. But there just adds just a little bit more of like a moon glow to the cat, even the upper part. So you got a little bit of mixture of that moon glow in there. Now you can always add more if you want to. It is totally up to you guys. If you're working on the cat, or if you're working on anything for that matter, even if you're working on the little hamster. And I know it's almost been an hour working on the detail, so let's go ahead. I want to use some of these different brushes just to kind of give a little bit of effect and kind of show you what it does. So here is the rake brush that I said I was going to use. I'm going to add a little bit of highlight, but we're going to do just a little, kind of like little places. This is still the purple, and what you can do is just like, you can just add like a couple little furs here and there, and just kind of make them go in different directions. Like, make sure you don't, like there's some there. Maybe right in here. And I'm just kind of taking them, I'm swooshing them. I'm not just using them like that. And I'm making sure I don't have too much paint on my brush. If you want to, you can add a little bit here. And what this does is it definitely helps out just a little bit on adding hairs and or fur, definitely in some different ways. We need to add some here, so we're going to go down here and we'll do a little bit of it. Even though this is not really supposed to be that. It's supposed to be more smooth. Let me take some of the dark. A little bit too light. On some of these areas where you got like a little bit of shorter fur, I know you don't want to go too dramatic on getting like long pieces of fur. Probably not the area that you really want to work with this on, but definitely for the top up here, definitely. And then I think there's some like little wispies maybe in here you can kind of throw in. Go. So yeah, it's a really fun brush to use to add in more detail if you're wanting more detail. Definitely a good one to use. Let me just add, I'm gonna have a little bit of fun. So you can even use it on its side and just kind of paint more of a straighter line. It's kind of cool. Just adding a little bit of texture. Okay. Let's try a little bit of this orange. And maybe some of this darker purple. I'm just kind of throwing it in there. It actually looks really good. There you go. So yeah, I like the way this cat looks. Definitely looks pretty cool. And I know I could work on him all stinking night. I really could. Just on the many things you can do just by keep working back and forth with him is just endless. But I think you guys get the kind of the drift of it. Let me put in the white whiskers and we'll move on to the hamster. So that'll give us about an hour to work on the hamster and we'll just see how far we get. Definitely detail was what we were wanting to get for the cat and then starting on the hamster. So let me go ahead and pull down a liner brush for you guys. Usually I keep this a little lower. And one right here. Is the one I normally use or not? Probably is. Let's see. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So this is a liner brush. This is by, let's see, Cotman. It's Winsor and Newton. This is a number 1, and it is a liner brush. Or they also call it a rigger. I guess it's a rigger. I always call them a liner or rigger brush. So very long, rounded, and I'm going to make sure to get that wet. Now when you're using a liner brush, like we're going to do white. Actually, I don't know if I should do white. Let's just go ahead and add a touch of purple maybe to these. Yeah, we can do a touch of purple. Just a touch. I want it super light though. Let's make it more of a gray. Let's add a little bit of the ivory black. Just a touch. Still want it really light. See, I'm adding a lot of water to this. Might need to do another squirt. Oops. I think I just knocked all my brushes into my paint. That was really nice of me. Hold on. I am just crazy, messy day. I'm watching all the paint not come off my shirt. I'll put it directly in the washer, but I'm having one of those days. Sorry, you guys. Okay, so what I do is I usually add enough water so that's why it's a little soupy, and then I just kind of twist the brush so I can get some of that excess paint off of there. I twist it and pull away, and that way I'm not getting too much, but we'll just see. If I have too much, we'll find out one way or another, right? So it looks kind of thicker. So what I want to do is just get it a little bit more of this paint off of there. Let's see here. I'm just going to take the tip and we are going to draw some random little whiskers, maybe a little curve. And if any of these whiskers looks a little odd or a little weird, don't worry about it. We can always adjust the whiskers. I want to add a couple little whiskers down here. A couple little dots. And then we're going to come in here and just kind of add a little bit more. Oops. Too much on there. See, that just got way too much on there. Now, if you're worried about that, I wouldn't worry. Like I said, just wet a brush. Probably not that brush. Just wet a brush. Let's just say I didn't like any of that, really. And I usually come in. That one looks a little bit thin. Let's go ahead and do that too. I don't like how bunched up those are. That one's gone. Just in those little areas. I kind of like the other ones. Okay. And just like that. Yeah. We've got that kind of squared up, so it's gone, and we can continue working. So don't worry if you end up putting like bigger ones like I did. I just swooshed over and I just had way too much pigment in my brush. Don't worry, because we can correct that. Trying to get the perfect little line here. I don't want too much. Just want it coming out of the right spot. Oh, there we go. Okay. And see if we can take them any which way. Now he does have some, probably going to have a couple like here. And here's where you can get into the real nice, cool looking detail is just by adding some of these in just random areas. Because you always know cats, like cats always have like these random hairs, just kind of like, whoops, probably not that much. Let's take that off. Let me see if I can't do some of these chunkier hairs. Just some of these little random ones. There we go. And if you don't like the base of it, like the base of it ended up coming out maybe a little bit too like thick at the base, so don't worry too much about that. You can always go on top of it with a little bit of a darker shade, or you can just kind of blend that out just a little bit with your brush. Just kind of take away that little edge, that little base of the bottom that's maybe a little bit too thick. And I don't really see them in too many places, but just in case. So now we got some of these little furs just kind of popping out everywhere. I mean, he looks really, really fuzzy, to be honest. But that is how you do adding a little bit more. See, I might end up adding a little bit dark to it. So you can always go back and forth, but that's how you add like the little wispy furs to it. So let's go ahead and hop on over. I know I'm already into over an hour into this. So I want to go ahead and jump on over to our little hamster and start on him. So that way we at least got him started. Even if we have to finish it for next week, that does not matter. We just definitely want to get into the little hamster too. Cannot forget about him. So first thing I like to do with like, especially with like my little hamster, I like to start out with their eyes. So that is what we're going to be doing, is starting out with his little eyes. Let me move this just a tad bit. I don't know. It's gonna be stubborn today. Okay, so his color of his eyes in the reference photo are like a blue. Maybe we can unplug this and kind of show you. Found this reference photo on Pixabay, but it looks blue. And the reason why is because he is in a nice sunny area with a bunch of blue skies. And in my picture, it's not the case. I have purple and I have a moon glow in the background. So we're not going to have blue because we don't have blue skies. And those are in the reflection of his eyes. So in the reflection, we're going to either see more of a purple in his eyes, or we're going to see more of maybe that moon glow kind of reflecting. Or if we're wanting to put like the cat, I just thought it would be cool to have the same color eyes as the moon. We could probably do more with the purple and putting it in the center of his eyes. So wherever you see a blue, we are going to make that purple. So whenever you're looking at this, just think of the blue color being a purple. So if it goes from light blue or a darker blue, you just go from a light purple or a darker purple. And then around this edge, we're going to go, of course, the darkest parts of his eye is going to be black, which is going to be the Mars black. So let's go ahead and jump into this. And I'm hoping, yeah, this might be okay. We maybe need the detail brush for him, to be honest. It is really, really small. So I'm going to still keep the purples, which is really nice. But I want to put in some of my Mars black. That way I can get the darkest black out of it. And also, by the way, I know it's in the middle of this, please leave, and I know it definitely helps, please leave a like, subscribe, share, comment. Any of those things help the channel grow. That would be awesome if you guys could. Okay, I need to zoom in. I can't really see, I'm half blind. Like, I'm a half blind artist. Okay, I'm using really, really dark black right now. And I'm just going to get around the edges. All I'm doing, just right around the bottom portion. I mean, we may end up doing some of the top, but right now I just want to get that bottom portion. Maybe a little bit on top for him. Let's do a little bit of the top on him. There we go. I didn't circle completely around it. I did leave, I mean, it's almost a complete circle on this side. This side, I left a little gap in there. Not too worried about right now. I mean, it's a really, really dark, and it's a very, very small eye. So what I'm going to do is, since I'm going to make his eye more of a purple, I'm going to grab the dioxide purple and a little bit of the black, and I'm going to make it more of a dark purple. And I'm going to fill in this bottom half. You may not be able to see the difference between black and the purple, but there's just a slight difference. It's not much that you can really tell with the eye, but whenever you're looking away from it, it looks like it's a little bit more darker, or it looks like it has a little bit more depth to it. It's one of those habits that you get into, and you just always try and go from dark, like black, to, you know, either a black and blue mixture, or a, for instance here, a black and purple. I'm going to put in this lighter color. Stick it in right in there. So now he's got some purple in his eyes. He is super teeny tiny. I hope you guys are seeing this clearly. If not, let me know and I'll see what I can do. I'm trying to move the camera. I don't know if I can move the camera in anymore. I probably could, but just let me know if you guys are having issues seeing the little hamster. I know I'm working teeny tiny right now. All right, so underneath his eyes, wanting to do a little bit of a light brown, maybe even a cream tone. So what we're gonna do, I don't really want to use too much. Where's my brand new brown? Right here, raw umber. Use a little bit of the raw umber. Well, that just, okay, there we go. And we'll just mix a little bit of white with it. So let's take that already separated itself. Let's take a little bit of white to it. There we go. So I made it more of that lighter brown. And then we got the burnt umber right next to it. So we can always go burnt umber first. And what I'm doing is, probably need to get a bit of spritz, is I'm going to go around his eye for his eyelid with the burnt umber. Doesn't go all the way around now. So there, and then we're going to go right around the top. Okay, there we go. Let's get a little bit more of my burnt umber, and we're going to do the same thing with the other eye. So we're making his eyelid. Okay, and now we need to make the top on this just so tiny. As long as you get it close, that's all I'm really going to say, because of how tiny his eyes are. Okay, we are actually going to go ahead and blow dry his eyes so we can add a brighter highlight in his eyes and also a highlight on his lid, which is that brownish cream kind of color. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to mute you guys so I don't hurt your ears, and I'm going to go ahead and blow dry this. And just a note, just to let everybody know, I know if you've watched my videos, you probably already heard me say this a million times, just in case for my new people. If you're working with a blow dryer and you do blow dry it, just remember, if you go on top of it instantly with paint, the paint will end up drying quicker because of the warm canvas. So you can still paint on it. Just make sure that your paint, or you spray your canvas with a little bit of mist, fine mist, or your paint's a little bit wetter. That way it doesn't dry as fast. Or you can just let it cool. Like me, I rambled. It's probably cooling down. So just be aware of that, because that would definitely be a bummer if you paint and it dries real quick, especially if it starts to dry and you accidentally make a mistake. And you're trying to clean it up and it dries instantly, then it doesn't give you time to get a brush to get water on it to clean it up. So definitely be careful. Okay, so I'm just adding in a little bit of white, or not the white, but the light brown in here. I may have added a little bit too much on the other lid. That's okay. We're working so tiny here. Yeah, I added a little bit too much in there. So I'm going to take some of my burnt umber. And I wouldn't worry too much with the lid because we are going to go on top of it with fur. So even if it is a little bit bigger, that's fine. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off here just so I can kind of show you his eyes on what we've done. So yeah, we got the purple in there. Yep, purple's not completely identical with the other eye, but we're going to be making adjustments, and we'll be putting in a highlight, and we can also put in some more darks just to kind of make those eyes look a little bit better. So it is definitely a work in progress. So let's go ahead and take I wanted a lighter purple. So we already got this purple and white mixture that we already had for the whiskers. I would just add a little bit of purple to it. Why not? And then that way you can come in here and add a little bit of highlight, add maybe a little highlight, maybe a little bit brighter purple. You don't want to cover up the other purple completely. I'm going to come in here and take some of my Mars Black, and I'm going to add a little bit more black to it. Just around these certain areas, just a little bit. Everybody's wondering what that noise is. I'm cold, so I have a heater. Okay. So it looks a little bit better. Let me take a little bit of this purple right in this area. Touch of highlight in there. And if I want to go a little bit lighter, let me add some white. How cute. All right, so we got his little eyes on there by adding just multiple different colors and just kind of working it up until it looks good. So he's got these little beady eyes. He's staring at us. And yeah, they're kind of dark, but they are kind of purple too. It's just got some different, they're just really, really tiny. It's, like I said, it's kind of hard to see with the camera, but it's definitely something you can throw in there to add some of those colors. So now we're going to go ahead, and we can always do the nose and mouth on the next video, since I already know it's already half time. Base color on our little hamster. It's only going to be his head, and he's got multiple different colors. He's got darks, he's got browns, he's got more of the burnt umbers and reddish colors. Now this hamster here is one of the wild hamsters, which is why I'm doing him. I just think he's adorable, and I'm so happy I found this one on Pixabay. But I absolutely love him. He is just so cute. But as far as a base color goes, you definitely want to go darker than the lightest color here. So if you're working with, looks like a lot of creams, I would say creams, but in our picture could be more of a light purples, or working with more of these yellow and orangey kind of colors, so more of a cream, I would say. I would probably just put some of the, you always want to put the darker colors in, so maybe more of those rusty colors. We can start that out first, and then in any of the lighter areas we can go really light. I know I want to say purple, but we could just go cream, like just doing like a beige kind of color for the white, because it's not going to be white, not with the colors that we have here, but maybe making it more cream, so that way we can throw in some of that reddish glow in there also. So let's go ahead and start that out. And this color here, I mixed up the red, and I mixed up the yellow oxide, I think. Yeah, yellow oxide with it. might be a pretty good color, but we may, you know what, it ain't gonna hurt nothing. We can use that color, the red and the yellow oxide mixture that we already have down. Why not? We can always save on our colors. Why throw away colors when we already got a color that is similar to what we want? We can always go darker. We can always go lighter with it. And that's exactly what we want. Is a color we can go light or dark. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on his head so that way I can get all these base colors in. Anywhere that I see this reddish tone. So I see it in here. Comes back, goes forward. Actually, I might come all the way down. And then you got the white that comes up. Just working with the base layer, and just remember it's not all gonna have to be this color. You can always put darks or put your lights in. You always want to go a little darker because it's so much easier to stick your white lighter highlights in there. Doesn't matter if you're a little bit off. I mean, this is not a pet portrait because these are wild. And they cannot be tamed, so. Let's go ahead and get around his eye. I wonder how far does it really matter? Go around his eye here. And then we also have a darker brown in there, which we could always go darker, but we'll just settle for this right now. We will make it a little bit darker. I know it's supposed to be darker through here, but it's okay. Just kind of filling it in. Let's kind of get this around the ear, just right through there. It's kind of a lighter color, so it'd be fine. So that looks about right. There may be just a touch more of this reddish color right in his neck. Like right in here he had a little touch. It ain't much. Probably not even really enough to make a difference. See where else there's red. Okay, and then he goes into more of a chocolatey kind of color. I don't think there's anything in his cheeks in this area. I don't even see anything. It kind of goes like that. Make those round little cheeks. Okay, and now I'm going to take some of my burnt umber that we have here. We're going to make this a little bit darker, so we could always, should I do that? No, let's just stick with the burnt umber. Just for a little bit darker areas. You definitely have a little bit of darker area in here. He had another dark area Looks like it kind of goes up here. I'm going to kind of make it a little uneven this time. Make some little ruffles in his fur. His chin is here, but there is some darker chocolate right in there. It's not chocolate, it's actually burnt umber. I don't know why. I think I look at the animals and I always like thinking, oh, it's a little chocolate. And that's what my my hamster is she's a little chocolate hamster. She's adorable. She looks like a little teddy bear. I mean, she's not like a teddy bear. Sometimes I call her a hippo because sometimes she looks like a little hippo too. Oh, looks like I got the corner. Did I get the corner of my hamster? Yeah, I guess I positioned him that way, didn't I? Okay, so we got a little bit more of a darker tone here. I don't have his hand. Let's go. And then he's got a little bit of a different mixture here. So I'm going to mix in a little bit of the rusty color and then kind of come in here just a little bit. You're not going to be able to see any of his arms or anything like that. It's kind of hidden behind the pumpkin. Unless I decide to put his hand in there. I don't know. I'm just going to make this a little bit darker. Okay, and then he had a couple little strands. I don't know if he had like a little patch of hair or if it was just, yeah, he does. He has like these little, I don't know, you probably put those in separately, but this will just give us an idea where they're at. He had some darker area, little furs in there. We can always put those in later though. It's not a necessity or a have to at this moment. We're just trying to get that base layer. Basically get all the canvas covered. Okay. Maybe a little patch in there. And now we'll be working with the outside edges here, which are going to be more pink. Yep. So we can either do the pink or we can do more of the, well, he needs more of a lighter color. Let me take this yellow oxide and mix it in a little bit more with this. See if I can't come up with a little bit more of a beigey color, but a little bit darker. It's a little bit more of a yellow. I don't really want yellow, so let's move in a little bit more the white. That is more of a cream. I'd really like to go ahead and just kind of add this color in so that way we kind of know where some of this lighter area is. Okay, and then it goes down his nose. And then it gets even lighter with the white. To be honest with you, I wouldn't even do it like white. I would do the base layer for sure. So I'm just putting in this beige kind of color in on the areas that I see would be more normally be the white. Okay, let's move along. We got underneath his chin. No, I really think, yeah. Then I think it's up through there. Let me make sure. Yep. So we got in behind his ear, a little bit of fluff coming down. And then he's going to have a little bit of here. Okay. And I think that's pretty much it with the lighter areas. Now, if I'm needing to add, like I said, you can always lighten it, you can always darken it. These are just mid-tone colors and trying to get our base colors in here. Okay. So now let's go ahead and get those ears colored with the base layer. And a lot of times whenever I'm working in acrylics, I do like to go and especially working with animals, you know, going darker and then adding the lights on top. So kind of going from dark to light definitely helps. Let's see here. His ears are more of a pinkish tone. My coffee is definitely cold. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab some random colors here. We got light pink. It's kind of a peachy pink, but then again, I don't want to go too pink. Because we definitely have a moon and some purple, so it's not going to be as bright. I'm thinking more of a peachy kind of pink. So I wonder if I just go ahead and do it this way. Let's take our pink here and let's mix a little bit of this lighter, like orangey color with a little bit of our pink. That way it gives us more of a peachy kind of color. And this is the darker area. So it is the area that the light is not really shining in through too much. Let's do it on the other side. Just kind of get those thicker areas. Oh, Stella's already awake. Stella's like, I'm ready for playtime. She definitely gets playtime today. But she's just gonna have to wait. Sorry, Stella, you're gonna have to wait. You're gonna have to wait until after live stream. Oh, she's cute. Okay, so I'm gonna take a little bit of this pink here. I'm gonna add it to this and just kind of see if I need to add. I'm gonna kind of outline this ear just a little bit with the pink. Just kind of outline this here with the pink. Okay, and then I'm going to take a little bit of my white and mix it in with my pink. So I'm creating a much lighter, or a little bit lighter pink. Needs to get a little bit lighter than that. Being way too light. There we go. And I'm just going to add a little bit more of a lighter pink in here for the center of the ear. Looks about right. Yeah, I have not been feeling very good. For some reason, it's like I've got cold chills and I have definitely got some earache going on. I don't know if it's just the weather. It has been super cold. Super duper cold lately. All right, so our little hamster's definitely got his base layers in. Only thing I don't have is like his nose, and I'm really, quite frankly, not too worried about it. His nose, because we can always do that toward the ending part. It is already 8:42, and I know that we need to add some more layers to him, which we can. Let's go here. We can do a little bit. We can't finish him tonight, but we definitely got the base done. I'm going to add more of a lighter kind of edge to his ear. Now in the reference photo, it shows it as like a really bright, kind of like a bright highlight. We're probably not going to go that bright. Just kind of make this kind of loop around. Now we got his ears. One ear looks a little bigger. It's all right. He's just too cute. So once that dries, then we can go back on top of it again. Could add in a little bit more, like a darker brown in on top of his eye. Like more of that burnt umber. Let me see here. Definitely like to add and mix colors around. It's always a lot of fun. Got a little bit of red. Definitely not the tone I was wanting. We are going to get a little bit of this burnt sienna though. Let's add a little bit of this to it. You get a little bit of water. And we are going to kind of, let's see here, make some of this area in here just a little bit darker. And a little bit of fluff. I don't want too much, but I definitely wanted to give it a little bit of a shade darker. And we're just building up layers is all we're doing. But we're still trying to go in the direction of the way the fur's going. So those are more of the reddish kind of areas where it's like really, really red. And we'll just do layer upon layer with this. It's really cute. And that's one thing with my paintings. Like I definitely like to add in like, let's see, let's do a little bit lighter of a brown. I'm going to take my brown and add a little bit of this yellow oxide to it, and that should make it just a tad bit lighter. But I like to definitely like to have fun with my paintings, and especially my hamster paintings. Like I absolutely love my hamster paintings. And I always come up with different hamster paintings, so I'm always having a lot of fun doing them. And I know you probably see me paint with the live streams doing hamster paintings, and you're probably thinking, oh my goodness, is there going to be something else besides hamster? And that's just the thing, is that even though I'm adding a hamster to these paintings, I am still like, I'm still creating like Halloween stuff like blood moon, cat, adding a pumpkin in our acrylic paints, or just doing different things. But then I just got that one little thing, I always toss them in there, even though I've been doing them and always adding in my little hamster on these live streams. I just throw them in there, but I still think that you guys get to see a little bit of different things too. Like you get to watch me paint different things. You kind of get the idea of a layering, adjusting. What happens if you mess up? You still get to see all that. Instead of seeing, some artists, they paint and they don't mess up. They just go on. And it's like, but if you're learning and you mess up, then you've been watching somebody who doesn't mess up, so you don't know what to do if you were to mess up. Like, it's like, okay, what do I do? I just made a big mark all the way through my paper. I just made a big whisker and it's humongous. What do I do? And you kind of need somebody who's gonna do that too. So I give a little bit of mess ups because sometimes I get carried away and I'll just, you know, stick some colors in there or stick something that I shouldn't have stuck in there, and voila, there's my mess up. So it happens. Just gotta just gotta understand that you don't need to worry. It's okay. Have fun. Okay, so right in this area here, it does go out. Does he have shadows? No, he's got his little pink mouth. Let's go ahead and make his mouth real quick. I think we only got 10 minutes left. Yeah, let's go ahead and make his little mouth. I'm hoping you guys can see this okay. I hope it ain't too blurry. I can always take him off and just kind of show you the little things that we're doing to him, just adding some different layers in there. He's not done. He's gonna look not so good. Remember, the cat didn't look that good neither. But as you keep on going and keep on adding layers, they just keep on getting better. So let me try and do, we've got our peachy color here, but I need it to be more, tad bit darker. So we can always throw in just a touch of red, maybe. Make that a little bit darker. Maybe a little bit of water would help out a lot. Maybe a little bit more, being stingy. Could be a little bit darker. I just stuck a little bit of my burnt sienna in that. Just a tad. Okay, let's try and go in here and just try and paint his little mouth being open. So also got a really small line. And then he's got a little line in his nose. He's got some darker areas that kind of come across for his nostrils. And right through here. And then we'll have his darker pink right through here. So there I'm just kind of adding in kind of like a little outline of his nose. It's gonna have like a little, yeah, kind of looks kind of funny, his nose, to be honest. I like, it's got a little piggy nose. Bella, do you have a piggy nose? Bella, you got piggy nose? Yeah, she's just looking at her food. She's like, I know you're doing your live streams, so I'm just gonna go ahead and rummage through my food and see what I got. There's no surprises, I'm gonna be mad. So I'm kind of adding in some of this lighter color in here. There we go. Kind of looks a little funny with his nose. We'll have to add some darker colors in that for sure. I don't know if I can make it just a little bit darker. I will. I want it more of a rusty, kind of darker color. I really don't want to do that, but we can try. I had some black. Makes more of a purpley kind of color. But that's okay if it's in the shadows. I'm just going to come in there and just add. Oops. That may be just a tad bit dark. And then we go in there and make some adjustments on his nose. It just seems way too, I don't know, not the color I'm wanting. Just a little bit too dark. Oops. Well, didn't quite mean to cover it completely. Yeah, definitely not the color I was really aiming for. But now that I got that done, I could probably add in some of this other. There we go. Let's see what I have. Maybe I got a little bit more of a pink, kind of like a rusty. I know I don't have a pink. I mean, I have a light pink, but then I got a rose. Yeah, I can see that. Let me put a little bit of this rose pink in there. I mean, I could mix up my own pink, which probably would be the best bet to do, but you know me, I'm lazy. Ooh, I like that. I will still have to add a darker pink in there, though. Let's see if we can add a touch of red. Ooh. Like that. Let's try and make that a little bit darker. Let's try and add just a little bit of depth. We can always add a little bit more detail. And we got 4 more minutes. 4 more minutes. Let's take this darker color with a more of a small detail brush. I'm going to take and add just a little bit of that in there. Okay. Let's go down. That's really cute. Now maybe we can add in some of the highlight. They can see, it looks like right in there on the bottom portion. That looks about right. He's adorable. All right, we'll leave his nose like that. Just looks like I have a glare. Oh, well, that helps out a little bit. That light on that camera definitely put out a little glare, but we got our first layer coming in on our little hamster here. So definitely is going to be a lot of fun adding in more of the fur details on the little hamster. So we definitely added in some fur on the cat, and now we're going to add in fur on our next live stream for the little hamster. Once we get done with the little hamster, which shouldn't take too long, but you never know. I mean, we were working on a bigger subject like the cat that took us to. So we may end up getting done with him. And then the next thing to do would be the pumpkin, which is going to be super exciting. This is a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin, and we are going to be working on that once we get done with the little hamster, which will be just some of the little details going in on the hamster. So I guess on the next one is going to be finishing hamster and starting a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin. So definitely a whole lot of fun. So we should have at least, I would say at least 2 more videos on this. And we'll even be working on the burnt embered wood that's here, along with some airbrushed smoke kind of like coming out, or fog kind of coming out of the pumpkin. So that'll be pretty cool also. If I want to do that, I could do burning embers on the wood. I don't know. I'm still up on grabs for that, on what I want to do, but definitely leave a like if you guys like this video. And I think that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions at all, feel free to chat, or you can always ask me even. You guys can ask me even though we are not live streaming. I still see your guys's questions or your comments. I still get those, so even after the live stream. So feel free to ask any questions, or if you need any help with anything. So I guess that's pretty much it. All right, you guys, I guess I'll see you on the next live stream, which will be on next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Bye, you guys.